when I click the go live button.
Oh, we're going live right now.
Yeah.
You know what
exactly. I don't even know when we're. Oh, we are live. Okay.
Oh, hey, it's live.
Hey, what's going on? What are you sniffing there, buddy? I don't even want to know.
This is from my beautiful mother-in-law.
Yes.
It's what? And she made me this. It's got this has peppermint oil and stuff in it, and so it clears your passages. It's got delicious essential oils.
That's so awesome. That's awesome. For those of you who are just joining us, thank you so much. You know, here's the funny thing. Me and Brian prep a lot for Leadership and Laughs with Pete and Brian, but then we get on here about 5 minutes ahead of time. And so we've got so much to talk about with each other that we forget, hey, it's time to get started.
I guess we need to share this with everybody else.
Yeah, we should have the behind the scenes. The first 15 minutes is behind. That'll probably get us canceled. Then we lose all of our sponsors. Lose all the sponsors. All right, buddy, I'm going to fire the opening up. Here we go.
Hey, everybody give it up for the Leadership and Singers.
What do you think about that, buddy? That's pretty awesome, huh?
That is pretty
awesome.
That
is good stuff. Well, thanks, everybody, for joining us. First-timers, regular friends. If you're watching us on LinkedIn Live or you're watching us on Facebook Live, we invite you to leave comments as you go. The comments will come across on our screen. We'll put the good ones up. That allows you to play games with us and do all kinds of stuff. My name is Pete. I'm in Birmingham, Alabama tonight.
Excellent. And my name is Brian, and I'm coming to you from Denver, Colorado, where we are on fire, Pete.
Yeah. Gosh, I mean, there's so much stuff going on between the fires. Are you keeping up with the hurricane that will be coming this evening, Brian?
We are, yeah. Terry and I were talking about that as well. So
yes.
Between the wildfires out west and the double barrel hurricane coming up the Gulf, we
there's some bad stuff going on. So thoughts and prayers to people with the fire. Thoughts and prayers to the people down in Lake Charles, Louisiana, Galveston Bay. Lots of good Jimmy Buffett songs about that area. So if you're just joining us again, this is a lighthearted kick off your shoes. Let's relax for 45 to 50 minutes. We're not going to talk about the Republican National Convention. We're not going to talk about things that are happening in the world too much. We're going to focus on good news, like my buddy John Krasinski did with the whole Good News Network.
You got to have a good news network.
Yes. Did you know he was my buddy?
No, I didn't know he was your buddy. That's exciting.
Yeah,
but I was your buddy.
You are. he's not really my buddy at all. But the whole idea of sharing good news is kind of awesome. So the way we do this is Brian has some stories. He shares some good news. I'll do a leadership article because our goal is to have some fun, Brian, but also to give people some things to think about or some leadership tips to apply to their jobs or their career, their personal, professional life as they go through. So for the next, 45 to 55 minutes, sit back, relax, chill out, enjoy it, right?
It's leadership and laughs.
Yeah, let's make sure we get the laughs. Sometimes we forget the laughs, buddy.
We try not to take ourselves too seriously.
Too seriously. Very good. All right, let me get your opening up here, and then we'll get started. Look at that. This is our leading off with Brian music. This is where Brian gets us excited with some fun stories. It's like going first. It's like the leadoff hitter. It is leading off with some of these stories. What's going on, buddy? Get us started here.
My lovely wife Terry says that opening looks like the Monty Python Life of Brian title.
Oh, very good. Also not a sponsor.
Also not a sponsor. All right.
What do you got for us?
Well, in breaking news, my senior in high school daughter just texted asking if she can swing by her boyfriend's house on the way back from somewhere. And I'm just hoping that was not just to me. It was also to Terry, and Mama's going to take care of that.
I'll notice that she didn't text Uncle Pete because the answer would have been no. Go straight home. Go straight home.
Go home.
Go straight home. Oh, baby.
Yeah. Well, hey, guess what? From the music world, we have some really interesting and good news.
I love it.
There is a new technology that has come out. It's been developed in the last couple of years that actually allows blind musicians to play along with the orchestra. So obviously, we have years and years of examples of musicians who are excellent but can't see, but they're almost always a solo artist. And so what we're looking at now, this is Kyung-ho Jeon. And when he was young, he dreamed of playing in an orchestra.
Okay.
But of course, his teachers feared it would be too difficult. And certainly not because he lacked musical talent, but because he was born blind. So he couldn't see the conductor's movements to follow the cues. And so Mr. Jean was fascinated by percussion and eventually became an accomplished marimba soloist, which you can see behind him there. But his visual impairment still made it difficult to play with an orchestra because, again, can't see the conductor. So that all changed a couple of years ago when he met somebody named Vaaken Matosian and his father, Ralph Gelhar.
Okay, hang on.
I picked the story with the most difficult names for me to say.
Except for Ralph. How did Ralph sneak in there?
Well, it's actually Rolf.
Oh, Rolf. Okay.
Rolf.
I thought it was like RALPH. I'm like, oh,
no.
Okay.
But they're the founders of a company called Human Instruments, and that's an organization that designs musical technology in collaboration with people with physical disabilities. And together they created something they call the haptic baton, which you see Kyung-ho Jeon holding right here. So the conductor can use this device just like they would a regular baton, and sensors inside actually detect different kinds of movement, including direction and acceleration, and actually turn it into vibrations, which are transmitted wirelessly to receivers that the musician wears on a wrist or an ankle on each side of the body. So basically, if the conductor moves the baton to the right, the receiver on the musician's right side will instantly vibrate. And if the conductor moves to the left, the same thing. It'll happen in the corresponding vibrating receiver. And so, this.
Do you remember when we were excited about things like the fax machine and the microwave, and we were like, "Wow, technology is unbelievable." And
I remember the first stereo I ever had that had a CD tray in it. I would just sit there and push the button, and it would just open, and I'd close it and open. Yeah. It's like it just seemed something out of Star Trek,
But and this thing that you're talking about, this is unbelievable. This changes everything for people who are sight impaired.
Not only that, but his next ambition is actually to conduct an orchestra with the haptic baton. So anyway, I thought that was really neat. That's some kind of ties together leadership and music and and also disabilities and overcoming obstacles.
Oh, what does this mean? It must mean you have another story. It must mean we're not done. Man.
No, we're not done.
All right.
So
we got 45 minutes. We're not done.
We can keep going.
Hey, what do you think of this headline I gave you? Can you name the artist? You know what? Don't do it. Anybody else who's commenting, if you would like to name who the artist of this song is, go ahead as Brian tells the story.
I really want to say it.
I know.
One of my favorites. Okay, so
from Hogtown, if you will, from Gainesville, Florida.
Yes, the Purple Hurricanes. Anyway, see what I did?
Well done.
Gainesville High School.
Well done. Yeah. So and again, my buddy Todd, who's watching right now, was also a Purple Hurricane at Gainesville High School. So he's very excited. But that's not who the song was. But go ahead, Brian. No. Speaking of American Girl.
American Girl, we're not talking about anything heartbreaking, but rather
this is why. Yeah, it's good stuff.
We're talking about the American Girl company who makes dolls for children across the United States and around the world.
Oh, like this.
And
My daughter had quite a few American Girls. Yeah.
I wondered. Yeah, we had a few in our home as well over the years.
Yeah.
And anyway, American Girl has chosen to honor pandemic heroes by turning them into one-of-a-kind dolls, and they're not.
I lost
just
you.
generic, like, all right, let's make a nurse, let's make an EMT.
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Now I can hear you. Go ahead, buddy. Sorry.
Can you hear me now? All right. Anyway, so the company American Girl is actually owned by Mattel, and what they did is they asked kids across the country to nominate an outstanding hero in their life as part of its Heroes with Heart contest, which is designed to thank and honor people who have risked their lives amid this pandemic.
Nice.
And so they're not just generic.
This nurse or this police officer, they're actually
modeled after people who were nominated. So April O'Quinn is who we're looking at here. She's a Virginia-based paramedic who was among the selected heroes. And, she said it's a huge, huge honor to represent females in the emergency medical services.
Awesome.
She's 39 years old. She's got more than 15 years of experience on the job.
She appreciates you sharing that, I'm sure.
And that's out of the news article. Yeah, and her address is 3900. So
she's a Libra. She likes long walks on the beach. I'm sorry. Go ahead. So
yeah, pina coladas. So she actually contracted COVID-19, and after recovering, immediately returned back to work in order to care for others. So her niece, she was nominated by her niece Lacey. And when Lacey wrote in, oh, there she is. There's niece Lacey with American doll April. She said that sometimes she had to do her job without the right protective equipment or cleaning supplies. And she also talked about her struggle with COVID-19. So April, the paramedic, is among 5 honorees.
Look at that. That's so cool.
There she is. Go back to the one with the dolls.
There you go.
All right. So there you can see the others are Xavier. There's the 17-year-old grocery store worker who was nominated by his sister for working 5 days a week at a grocery store during the pandemic. Pam, the teacher, was nominated by her students. Sarah, the nurse assistant, was nominated by her granddaughter for her dedication and patience as a caregiver in feeding the homeless in her community. And finally, we see a pilot. That's Laurent, the pilot for Spirit Airlines, who was nominated by his daughter for volunteering to fly a team of American doctors to Haiti and help them fight COVID-19. So she was an American Girl. Did we get any winners there? Did anybody correctly guess?
There are so many good things about that story, which makes me so incredibly happy.
Hey.
That was an easy one, Todd. Thank you. But yeah. That's just such a great story. I mean, that's what we're looking for, especially right now. There's so many struggles with social justice issues and with the hurricane and with the fires and with the economy and with everything. And to just hear that this was not done as a money-making scheme, we're actually recognizing people who are working hard during this time.
Yeah, awesome. Why not both? We used to get that at Disney a lot. Like, Disney's just trying to they're just out to make a buck. And my response was always, well, yeah. They're a company, but they do it by creating happiness.
Speaking of Disney characters, let's talk about this buddy of yours, Bicycle Bob. See what I did there? What else you got for us here?
Bicycle Bob, everybody. Let's take a look. There he is. As a teenager in Long Island, New York, Bob Mettauer, back in the 30s, he ran deliveries for a local butcher. And, as a kid, he would total maybe 50 miles a day on his bike. And he's a World War II Navy veteran who retired from his job at a telephone company in 1991, and he got back on his bike. So he set out a goal of reaching 100,000 miles on his bike.
Okay.
And earlier this month, around 28 years after he set out on his mission, Bicycle Bob, 95 years old now, crossed the finish line, and dozens of his Santa Maria neighbors lined the streets to cheer him on.
Okay.
So, yeah.
You picked 3 good ones this week, man.
I love Bicycle Bob.
I love Bicycle Bob too, and I'm sure you can Google him. I'm sure there's YouTube videos and news stories and things about him, but that's fantastic. Go ahead. Oh, you froze. Every time you want to make a very important point.
Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
All right. So, if you do Google Bicycle Bob, there's a different Bicycle Bob that comes up in the first several stories, who was apparently a man who was murdered, and there was a big trial about Bicycle Bob. That's not who we're talking about here.
That reminds me, do you remember at Disney, the number for the Disney Vacation Club to make reservations is exactly 1 digit off from an adult phone call organization? And if you just do you remember when you would accidentally call that number? And
I don't remember anything about that.
Oopsies. Right now, somebody's dialing all the numbers. Hang up now. I think it was called never mind. All right. So thank you, Brian. Appreciate that. 3 good stories today to get us started off. But now it's time to go into what I call the news article of the week. Here we go. Yes, the Leadership and Laughs article of the week. And what we like to do here on this show is take a leadership article, something somebody else has written, put in all their time and effort into it, so that way we don't have to do all the work. And then we'll share the information with you all. It ties into leadership, and then we'll give this person credit. We will go ahead and put their information link in our Facebook Live and in all the notes. And then if they comment and follow us, they will get a Leadership and Laughs t-shirt. So we're excited about today. Still not in? Still not in.
Those are still on the slow boat from Malaysia.
Somewhere. All right. So how about Julie Winkle Giulioni? Giulioni. We'll call her Julie Winkle G. And she wrote an article recently about how to make your remote meetings more interesting. So I thought I'd share her tips. She's got 4 tips for making your remote meetings more interesting, Brian. I thought it'd be really good because a lot of us are leading remote meetings. A lot of things are kind of going on. And how many remote meetings are you in on a weekly basis, my friend?
5 or 6, probably, remote meetings. That's not including conference calls and just regular one-on-ones.
Yeah, it's a struggle for a lot of us. A lot of us haven't been trained on how to lead virtual meetings. Now, again, you and I are in the training and development and speaking business, so we try to share information and do the best we can. But you've been in meetings where people are there's these heads on the screen, people are looking down, they're either on their phones, they're taking notes. Now, that's stuff that you wouldn't do in a regular meeting. If you were in a conference room with your boss and your boss's boss and all this in person, you're not going to get out your phone and start in front of them. But for some reason, virtually, everybody is like, no one's paying attention. All the heads are down. So Julie has this great article on 4 tips, Brian, 4 tips that we can do. And these are not hard for anybody to do. Tip number 1, she says, is to make sure you share your screen. Now, we use Zoom a lot. So Zoom, you're able to share your screen. I know some people like Microsoft Teams, some people like GoToMeeting, whatever you use, but people are afraid to share their screen or to let others share their screen. Do you know what the number 1 fear is of sharing the screens, Brian?
An email is going to pop up, or they're going to see something on somebody's desktop that says, fire Pete Blank.
Yes, exactly. Either they're going to have the wrong website up, or they're going to have a messy desktop that as soon as they share with their friends, people are going to go, good gravy, do you have no organizational skills or something like that? So, but the benefit of people sharing their screens, or even an attendee or the facilitator sharing their screen, is it keeps people engaged. If I go to you and say, Brian, share your screen right now and show me the example of the project you're working on, you've got to validate that. So there's a whole lot. She says that the effort is worth it because screen sharing isn't just functional. It can inspire us to connect and engage with each other. So share that screen a bell, Brian, for me. Well done, sir. Number 2, chat it up. Chat it up. Brian, do you use the chat feature when you're in virtual meetings, or is it turned off by your meeting facilitator?
I prefer the chat feature because otherwise we get a lot of background noise from, a lot of our employees are in office locations around the United States, and
Yep.
We've caught some interesting things on some meetings. There was
Right. And there can be tremendous value being added with the chat. Oh, you're back. There you are. Yeah, there can be tremendous value added, buddy, with the chats. There's different choices. One, you can chat with the meeting facilitator, but you can also chat with each other. Now, some people don't like that because that's the same as in a meeting, me leaning back and whispering to you, or me leaning back and telling the inside jokes, and you can do that. But chat does cause a little more engagement. And here's a couple examples. She says, use the time when everybody's logging in to warm up the group with a non-work question. So something in the chat like, hey, everybody in the chat, write down what you did last weekend. Or hey, everybody in the chat, write down the percentage you think that college football is really going to kick off in 3 weeks. Or, it can also be a way to gather decisions. A lot of people, if you're in a meeting and you lean toward introversion, you may have to think and process. So you can say, I'm going to move ahead, but I'm going to leave the chat box open. Make sure that you put your thoughts in the chat. So that way people can respond. They don't have to be put on the spot right away. And she says, again, you can use the chat box for action items, for follow-up as well. Okay, everybody type the one thing they're going to do in the meeting. So again, any of you who are in virtual meetings, feel free to, again, share your thoughts. Jackie says that a shared screen is great to teach with. So again, as you're teaching something, or you're teaching a new site or a new app or something like that, you can share the screen and walk them
totally
right
agree.
through.
Good point, Jackie.
Good point. All right, let's go ahead and go to number 3, which is poll the people. Does your organization use the poll function, Brian?
We sometimes use the poll function. It's good to keep people engaged and paying attention, just to make sure that you're actually sitting there at your computer and not off. I don't know, feeding your dog.
Kind of like you said in our employee engagement over under a few weeks, people's minds are wandering during some of those meetings. She says that a quick in-the-moment poll can achieve some objectives while increasing interest. So there's different ways to use it. One, if you're in a teaching or a training environment, I always put polls up and let people, answer something related to the content. But there can also be if people aren't making decisions, if you've got 7 people in your meeting virtually, you're like, what do you all think? Should we do it Tuesday or Wednesday? What do you all think? Well, if you're good at the technology, you go, hang on a second. You take 15 seconds, open the poll, and go Tuesday or Wednesday, submit. And say everybody has to vote, Tuesday or Wednesday. That's another way to get real-time feedback from people. So that's kind of helpful. Helpful as well. Finally, Brian, do you use the whiteboard feature where people are allowed to write and document and highlight? Does any of that come out in your online meetings?
Personally, I don't use the whiteboard very often because I find it easier to actually share my screen if I'm training on a system or an app, or else I'm presenting like a PowerPoint deck, and I'll use the highlight function, or I don't know. Does that count as the whiteboard function? I'm picturing a white screen and I'm writing.
Yeah. And she's talking specifically, we use the highlight and the annotate features a lot. She's talking about the actual whiteboard. Just imagine, again, if you were in a conference room and had a flip chart, or where I work, we painted all of our walls in our classrooms with dry erase paint. So if we were to say, go up there and everybody write down, when I say the word human resources, what's the first thing that comes to mind? When I say change is about to happen, what's the first thing that comes to mind? And the whiteboard allows people to go on and just, write and do all kinds of things. Again, it's just an engaging way to kind of connect with people. Some people use it for fun, like doodling or things like that. But if you can use it for brainstorming or something like that, the whiteboard, I think, is also helpful. I also found out that you can actually create, with the highlight and annotate tool, you can create a PowerPoint that has like an XY axis or a T chart, and you can tell people, okay, the left is reasons are good and the right is why reasons are bad. Everybody open up and start writing in, annotate, on there. So there's all kinds of neat things you can do. I think a lot of people don't want to learn these, Brian, because they're like, remote meetings won't last very long. COVID is almost over. We're almost done. We don't got to worry about it too much. But even as we get back to whatever we're going to get to, I think these remote meetings are here to stay. I think that, like, you say a lot of your people work remotely. I think they're going to be around for a while. So let's use those tools, right?
I agree. I think these are here to stay. In fact, you didn't know this, but my next segment over under was going to be around remote working, and I kind of tweaked that. But the article that the article that I read said that it is going to be around for a while, we think.
Yeah, so. I think so too. Our good buddy Lisa Downs says she uses polls as well. And again, anything to break up the monotony. If you hate in-person meetings because they're long and boring, imagine your remote meetings being long and boring. So that can be a struggle. That can be a struggle as well. So good point there, Lisa. Thank you all for kind of going through that. And thanks to Julie Winkle Giulioni for being part of our day. And again, we'll put this up and hopefully she'll share it and know that we love her thoughts and comments, and we appreciate her for that. All right, let's see what's that? I just heard you cough a little bit. What's that, buddy?
You know what I did? I unmuted my mic just in time to clear my throat. That's not what it's for. It's supposed to be so you don't have to hear that.
Thank you. Oh, yeah. Well, Brian, this is the part everybody's been waiting for. They sit through the rest of the show to get to the world-famous Leadership Statistics game show. It's got the highest ratings of any leadership statistics game show in the history of live streaming. It's over, and it's under. I don't have an applause button today, but I would give you an applause. So
thank you.
Let's go, buddy. What do we got?
Yeah. So here's how it works, everybody. I'm going to be presenting all of us here with a few interesting statistics vaguely tied to leadership and some interesting over under there. So I'll set a percentage or a number, and Pete and you will have to guess, is the actual number over or under the number that I give you. So we want to encourage you to play along. Feel free to.
How do they play along?
You got to chat in. You got to use your comment and go ahead and play over under with us.
Outstanding.
So we've been talking about the employee experience, and now what I'd like to do is talk a little bit about how customer satisfaction is in fact tied to employee satisfaction. So we know that companies who measure their customer satisfaction are more likely to be successful than those who don't, and that our customers' well-being has really become the most crucial factor to consider when you want your business to grow. So Pete, you and I learned from many years of working at the Walt Disney Company.
Correct.
That, happy employees drive customer satisfaction.
Correct. Fact. We teach it, we train it, we live it. Yep.
Have you heard of J.W. Marriott? He once said,
yes, I believe he was the starting quarterback for the 1963 Jets.
No, somebody else. That was J.W. Marriott of the Marriott Hotel Company once said, if you take care of your people will take care of your customers, and your business will take care of itself. So simply put, happy employees provide better customer support, which pluses up the customer experience.
Nice.
See what I did there?
Nice. I love it.
And drives profitability for your business. So, and of course, the reverse of that is true, right? Poor employee satisfaction
is going to kill your customer
impact your company's culture.
Yep.
So I pulled some data from a few case studies that contribute to how employee engagement drives customer satisfaction. You ready?
Let's do it. I'm ready, buddy.
All right. I'm going to do air quotes here. The demand metric employee engagement survey concluded that organizations who foster 50% employee engagement retain more than what percentage of their customers? So if they have 50% employee engagement, they can retain more than what percentage of their customers? Over or under 75%?
over or under 75%. This is one of those things, that I think this is where I always go opposite. I need someone smart to please write in their comments so I know, because my gut tells me it should be more, it should be over. But Brian, I'm going to go with the under. Anybody else want to play along? Go to your chat box, your comment feature on your Facebook Live, or your LinkedIn Live, wherever you're doing it, and let's see how we're doing. My buddy Scott says over. Todd says over. Hello to Debbie. Debbie's going to play and go under with us. Yeah, I think I'm wrong.
All right. Organizations who foster at least 50% employee engagement retain more than what number of their customers? Is it over or under 75%? And I'm giving you a bell if you said over.
Oh,
80%. Hi, Debbie. Hi, Shelly. Hi, Lisa.
Lisa said over. Of course, she's super smart. Sherry said over. She's super smart. Yeah.
Yeah, they found basically if at least half of your employees are engaged and happy, then you have the potential to return more than 80% of your customers.
How about that? That's an incredible number. Yeah.
So, all right, let's do another one.
I'm ready.
An Aberdeen research report found that introducing a formal employee engagement program achieved what percent greater annual growth in revenue from new customers?
Why are you using big words? Please say it. Please say it in a way I can understand. Say it again. Okay. I'm such a moron. Give it to me like I'm an 8th grader.
Okay. Companies who have a formal employee engagement program.
Got it.
Saw what percentage of annual growth in revenue from new customers?
Okay, so I've got a formal employee engagement program. This can be everything from a training program to a recognition program to something that's formalized. It's there. If I have it in place, my revenue obviously goes up. So you're saying what percentage of companies saw an increase in revenue if they had a formal program?
Right. In other words, a greater annual growth in revenue from new customers over those who there might be companies who didn't have a formal engagement program. Sorry, Todd.
All right. Give me the number, because I've got a number in my head.
All right. Over or under 33%?
Okay. I'm going to go with the under, because I was thinking 20%, just like my buddy Jackie here says it was around. She's going with the 15s. So is it over or under? You said 33%?
Over or under 33%.
I'm taking the under. I think it's a little too high.
Greater annual growth in revenue from
a little too high. A little too high. Debbie says over. Let's see. Scott is taking the over. Todd is referencing a back to school reference. So very good. 4. So thank you, Ronnie Dangerfield. Sherry's taking the over. I'm the only one. Me and Jackie went under. Everybody else is over. Tell me
everybody else gets the bell. It's over. 39%. How about that?
I just feel stupid.
Well, let's take the point here. Imagine keeping 80% of your current customers and also achieving an extra 39% revenue growth from the new customers that you have as well. And I think it shows that it's pretty important to have.
It's important to have it.
Motivated and
Did that come through okay?
Yeah, really loud.
That was that was my losing horn. Okay. Yeah. See, okay, here's Debbie. All right. Thank you, Debbie. So your questions are hard tonight. Your questions are hard tonight. Yeah. All right. Keep them going.
All right. This should be a little easier.
Let's do it.
Pete.
Yes.
What companies? No. All right. According to a Deloitte survey, have you heard of Deloitte?
Deloitte and Touche, I believe.
Used to be Deloitte and Touche. Are they still?
I don't know. That's always fun to say.
According to a Deloitte survey, what percentage of human resources and business leaders confirmed that employees' experience is the most important factor in the company's success.
Oh, 80%, my friend. HR knows that employee engagement is most important. The answer, no matter what you say, is 80%. What is the over-under?
I will give you an over-under of 81%.
Really? Did I hit it right on the head?
Is it over or under 81%? What do you guys think?
It's under. It's under 81% because it's 80. Because it's 80. Who else is playing along? Come on. It's got to be high. HR knows employee engagement is the most important thing to motivate and inspire people. I'm all about it. Lisa says it's even higher than 81%. Sherry thinks you're trying to just trick me and make me get one correctly, so I appreciate that. Oh, mercy.
It
All right,
really
what do you
doesn't
got?
matter, Pete. It doesn't matter where I said it because you get double points. You hit it right on the head.
Did I really?
This has never happened before.
This has never happened
never
before.
happened before.
Give me, I need something. I need something. That's so exciting. How about that? I'm sorry I ruined your whole game.
No, I couldn't believe it. You nailed it. Satisfied employees result in quality work and contribute to a productive work culture, according to the survey. They basically love what they do, and that results in engaged employees who have good relationships with their customers. And
thanks, buddy. And seriously, we don't talk about these ahead of time, but there is a person who has written a book. If only there was a book on employee engagement that was out there that you could get on Amazon.com. That is phenomenal. It's out there. So if you want to get the right answers on employee engagement, it's us in the Mouse House. Look at that non-Disney castle, Brian, by the way.
Love it.
That castle could be anywhere. Could be anywhere.
Could be anywhere.
Could be anywhere. That could be a Six Flags castle. That could be a castle of King's Dominion. Absolutely.
It might be a castle of King's Dominion.
So anyhow, well, that takes care of over and under. Let's see. Lisa says we can all celebrate we were here for this first moment. I'm just happy to get one right, y'all. And because we're just talking about Disney and we're kind of in that mood, Brian, let's get our little Disney. Where is it? Here we go.
I love this music.
I know, because it reminds me of Main Street USA. This is the time of the show, everybody.
Those guys
I know. Look at the mouse in the middle. We just, the good days, man. We just take some time because Brian and I worked at Disney for over 25 years. So our final segment, people always say, what'd you learn at Disney? What'd you learn at Disney? How does Disney do it? Teach us more. And so we're happy to share some fun little tidbits with you about the world of Disney and how they train leaders and things like that. So this is called, ironically, even though it happens once a week, this is called the Daily Disney. So pretty excited.
Well, we think about it every day.
I think about it every day. All of our good friends are still down there. And our really, really good friends are the ones that watch the show. We appreciate you. You know who you are. Yeah. So, okay, we're going to try something different now, Brian. We're going to see if this works. We've never done this before. In the past, we've talked about Disney from Disney's Great Leader Strategies. And then also we've talked about Disney from maybe my new book, or we've talked about Disney with Walt quotes. Today, I want to show you a Disney video.
Oh,
this is about a 3-minute video, and I'd like us all to talk about it afterwards because this is a really cool process they do out at Disneyland. Disneyland, there's a lot of internal movement, Brian, in our theme parks and resorts division. So when you move around the organization, sometimes you're like, well, I wonder what it would be like to work in food and beverage. What would it be like, even though I work in attractions, what would it be like to work in human resources? And it's so hard to find out about all these jobs. There's hundreds of thousands of jobs that are available. Not hundreds of thousands, hundreds, comma, and it's up there.
Could be.
And so Disneyland does this cool marketing thing called I forget what it's called. Oh, every role a starring role. Every role a starring role. And they make these videos so you can learn about different roles in the organization. And they interview the cast members and talk to them about it and say, tell us about your role. So in case you're interested in it, you can do that. Well, I've got this one that I've been shown for a while when I go out and speak about Disney, and it's about what's called a duty manager. A duty manager. We're such idiots. And so here's what I want to share. This is Dean, and he works out at Disneyland, Brian. And what I want everybody in the comments to do, as you're watching this, be thinking about words or phrases or behaviors or things that you hear from Dean that make you think that's a cool process. That's something neat. That's why they do that. And I want to talk about all those things. You take notes too, Brian. We'll talk about all these things when we come back and see how you can apply them to your job as a Disney leader. So here we go.
Hello, I'm Dean Yamada, and I'm a duty manager at the Disneyland Resort. Welcome to Every Role, a Starring Role. My role at Disneyland as a duty manager is making sure each and every day we're show ready for our guests as they enter the park. Each of the lands have team leaders which check the parks and says that their land is show ready. At that point in time, we open the main entrance. We're looking at what is the guest seeing? What are they experiencing? Are the food locations and the food items on the line welcoming to them? Are the attractions and hosts out there interacting, welcoming the guests to the attractions? In the duty manager role, we roam the entire park throughout the day, greeting the cast, saying hello to them, getting to know them. As we tell them, they own the business. We're there as a resource if they need help. They know their teams, they know their strengths. So really, we tell them, what do you need from us? And when you're here, you got to remember, we're here to create the magic for that guest. What they're doing is they're leaving the outside world, their troubles, here to have a great experience. And that experience goes from generation to generation. We make sure that we are aware of everything going on that day. Show times, attendance, rehabs, parade times on through there, so that when a guest asks a question, we have it. Walk out in the areas, look at the kids. Watch them run up to Mickey or Minnie or the different characters on there. See the smiles on the face. Watch the parents. When the kids are smiling and having a great time, they're once again reliving their past and their childhood again. So what we try to do is our two key points are building relationships and building our communication. My best friends are here at the park on through. I've created a second family away from home. I think one of the nicest things about it is when you walk through the park and there's a cast member that may have worked for you 25 years ago. Now, a lot of the cast members that are working here are the kids or grandkids of their parents, grandparents that I worked with at one time. Each and every guest as they enter the park are our guests in our house. And as hosts and hostesses, how would we treat a guest in our homes? But each and every cast member creates magic each and every day. They don't realize it, but they really do.
All right.
That makes me want to go back and teach traditions.
I know, doesn't it?
Serious.
It's like, I mean, this is what Disney's all about. This is what sucks people in who want to work there. They understand the power of so many things that he talked about from being a duty manager in the park. So we'll start with you, buddy. I saw you taking some notes as kind of you were going along. What jumped out to you that sort of reminds you about what's going on?
There were a few things there, and I just jotted down some notes because I didn't want to forget. One was where he talks about things being show ready, I'm not sure I'm going to get this quote exactly correct, but to paraphrase Disney legend and former head of Imagineering Marty Sklar, he said, your location, your physical location, should be as much of a storyteller as the people that work there. So, Dean talked about making sure that everything was, clean and ready, show ready for the guests to walk in, and that resonated with me.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's probably 20 bullet points I had in there that I kind of wanted to talk about. One is he talked a lot about building relationships, and he talked about how he builds relationships not just with all the cast members who are there, with the guests as well. So again, Disneyland is filled with a lot of annual pass holders, people that come back again and again. So if you're going to build a relationship with them, but also it was neat to see him go work with the cast members. And those of us who worked in parks and resorts, we had that too. It truly becomes a family atmosphere. In fact, I used to work at the resorts called Port Orleans and Dixie Landings, which is now Port Orleans and Riverside and Port Orleans French Quarter. And someone recently started a Port Orleans Blast from the Past Facebook group and emailed out to all their people and said, if you worked at Port Orleans back in the 90s, go ahead and join in. So I joined in, and the amount of people on there who either I knew or who I remembered or who were writing things like, this was such a good family time. We all covered for each other. We all did so many things.
That was a pretty pal.
pretty cool to me. Pete's pals. Yeah, Pete's pals were out there. So
no, I liked it when he said, he says, a lot of the people I work with have become my second family.
Yep.
And, here we are. I've been gone from working as an employee at Disney for 15 years.
Yep. We're getting up there, man.
And yet I was doing the math in my head and I'm like, wow, it's really been that long. But look, just from the comments that people are typing in, these are people I love still. And, we have worked together in forever, but, to be able to see Shelley and Debbie and Lisa and just all the people from back then, it floods me with good feelings and memories. And what a great experience.
What a great experience.
To work there.
Yep. Something Dean mentioned that, again, Scott validates here. He said, I like when he said he's serving the employees to make their job easier so they can serve the customer. And I think that we're all trained in that servant leadership kind of role down at Disney. Again, there are very few managers. Now, there's some in every organization, but there's very few managers who are on their high horse out there. Most of the managers who are in the manager role, who are walking the theme parks or the resorts in a coat and tie in the summer, they know that they're not trying to become the vice president of the theme park. They know that there's movement, but their main job is to support the cast, make sure they have what they need to get the job done every single day. They truly are absolute servant leaders. Hey, I got a good one here for you, Brian. I think his name is Taj, who I've worked with before through a different organization. He says he's happy to see us live. He says, this is Brian, we're a treasure of learning. Did you know that? Who knew?
Somebody trademarked that.
He said, what's the culture value from Disney do you think that a startup should consider implementing? What's a good culture value that you think any startup that we learned from Disney? I mean, I'll go first. I mean, mine is just that Disney has a culture of storytelling, and you have to buy into the storytelling when you work there. So whether you work in a theme park or a resort or human resources or whatever, we're telling stories every single day. And we could be telling the stories of what the movies are or what the attractions are. We're also telling our personal stories, and people relate to storytelling. So again, probably some of your role is, Taj, I know what you do with your company Typedo, and you're helping people tell stories every day. Well, does your company have that as a core value? We help people tell stories. And that's a big one for me from a culture point of view. Can you think of one, Brian?
Well, of course you took mine.
No, I did not. There's no way.
Did I? Storytelling. But gosh, I mean, that's what we love. But Disney was so big on understanding to make sure that everybody understood the company's values of integrity and but not just the values, but to have a clearly defined mission and vision.
Yeah, absolutely.
What those are, and get everybody's buy-in on that, so that you're all moving in the same direction from the beginning, especially in the startup.
Okay, I'm going to take you back 15 years. What was the official traditions? Actually, it wasn't called a vision or a mission. It was sometimes, what do we call it? A statement of purpose or something? We create happiness by providing the finest in
entertainment for people of all ages, everywhere.
Yeah, I remember that. And so getting everybody to buy into that our job is to create happiness. Doesn't matter what you're doing, your job is to create happiness. Lisa talks about that there's a new chairman of Disney parks. And he says cast comes first. Cast comes first. It's his mission to make sure we always focus on cast. So again, Taj, a good value would be, are you an employee first organization, or are you a guest first organization? And there's nothing wrong with being either one, and you can try to go down both paths at the same time. But at sometimes the guest is going to win over the employee. Somebody's got to give. So cast first, employee first, taking care of your employees first. Because if you do that, according to Brian's employee engagement survey, they'll take care of the customers, and then they'll keep coming back and back again and again. You start pulling the rugs out from your employees and backstabbing them and all that. Debbie's got a good one. What do you think about this one, Brian? Exceeding expectations should be a cultural value. What do you think about that?
I'm all for it. I don't know if I can say anything better than that. I don't need
Right.
to mansplain that. That's a good
Yeah.
one, Diddy. Exceeding explanations is
Expectations. Don't exceed my explanations.
never exceed my explanations.
So anyhow, and then one more thing I had in the video is where he talked about watching the kids and the parents interact. And if you take care of the kids, then everything else falls into place. That's a big one. Oh,
I have that right there.
look out for the kids, man.
Kids.
This
The
happens
kids are
whether
having a
you're
great time. Families are
yeah.
too.
If you're in the restaurant business or food and beverage or retail or online or whatever, or parks and rec or local government, if kids come into your organization, this is why when we were kids, do you remember going to the bank back in the 70s and going through the drive-through? And what did you get in the drive-through bank if you rode along? Well, I'll tell you what I got.
If you were very good, you get a lollipop.
You get a lollipop because you got to take care of the kids. You know, nowadays I think they even give out dog biscuits in some places. But yeah, take care of the kids. Take care of the kids, and everything else will fall into place. So that's the Daily Disney. Thank you all for sharing your thoughts on that. And that kind of wraps up our show tonight, buddy. How'd you think it went?
I loved this show. This was just a lot of good feelings from our friends and families, and meeting new friends. And,
how's that sound? Is that too loud?
Nah, it's pretty good. Hey, do you want to?
Don't show more high tech. Yeah, give us a did you know on the way out, baby.
All right. So, earlier we said that. I got to find my notes. Earlier we said that engaged employees help you retain customers and also get new ones, right?
Right.
Did you know?
Did you know?
Also backed up by a Gallup survey of more than 50,000 employees that highlighted that indeed satisfied employees were successful in elevating their company's reputation and retaining their existing customers while attracting new ones. So make sure you have happy employees. That's probably the most important thing to take away from this.
That's the triple threat, baby. That's the triple threat. You get all three of those. Raising revenues, employees are happy, customers are happy. Thank you all. Thank you. We got Debbie, Shelly, Lisa, Taj joined us. Sarah was here today. Todd.
Hi, Sarah.
Who else joined us today? Jackie, thank you for being part of our show tonight. Jeff was on here. We couldn't do this without you. Well, we could, but it'd be boring.
Yeah, it'd be really boring.
We couldn't do this without you. That'd be awful. So from Birmingham, Alabama, this is Pete.
And from Denver, Colorado, this is Brian. We love you guys, and everybody be kind. Put some more kindness in the world.
Amen, brother. See y'all.